Hello everyone. Let us go ahead with the explanation of the poem Animals. Let us read the first paragraph, and it reads like this. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self contained. I stand and look at them long and long. And when we read, keep noticing some of the literary devices if you can happen to identify them. So let me explain it for you. In the very first paragraph, the poet says that he wants to live in the world of animals because he feels that animals are calm, placid means calm and quiet and self contained. They are very happy, contented. Whatever they have, they are okay with it. And indirectly, the poet comments on the restlessness, greed, and dissatisfaction of human beings. So he says that I stand and look at them long and long. The poet is so much fascinated by all these good qualities of the animals that he keeps on staring, looking long for a very long time at the animals and desires to be with them. I think you could notice one literary device in the last line, third line. I look at them long and long. Here are two literary devices used. One is repetition, when the word long has been repeated to bring an emphasis on the duration of the time he kept on standing there. And another literary device here in long and long is pun on the word. What does pun on the word mean? It means that one word, it could have more than two meanings. So the poet has used a pun on the word long, and he means to say that he admiringly looks at the animals for a long time and wishes to be with them. So the two different meanings of the word long have been used here. And if we wish, we can find out alliteration also here. Look and long, so L and L has been repeated. So not two, rather three literary devices have been used in the same paragraph. Next paragraph reads like this. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. So the poet tells us he appreciates animals again in contrast to human beings. He says they never sweat and whine, means they never keep on crying about their condition. So, in whatever condition they are, they remain happy. Neither their conditions, bad or good, keeps them awake in the night, in the dark, like human beings do. Whatever condition they'll be, they would never be satisfied. This is the, I don't know, good or bad quality of human, but they are never satisfied with what they have. But the poet praises animals in this regard. He says how nice these animals are, that they are satisfied about their condition and they never ask for anything more than that. In the next line, he says, they do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. So, like human beings are, they always remain confused. What is my duty? How shall I serve God? How shall I serve my family? He says that animals, they have a very clear conscience. They are very innocent. Therefore, they do not repent over their actions. Therefore, they never, after doing something, they never ask to God to forgive them because they never do anything wrong from their own side. So he says, I never feel sick because they never discuss their duties to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not even a single animal we would find anywhere whom we could say is a dissatisfied animal. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. demented with means that not one is mad after owning things. Like human beings, what do? If they have one house, they'll say, I need to buy another one. If they have one vehicle, they'll feel a need to buy another bigger one. If they have a valuable bank balance, they would never be satisfied that. They'll keep on harboring more and more wealth. But the poet says, at least the animals, they are far away from this materialistic race which is found among the human beings to accumulate more and more, and he is happy that animals are at least safe from these kind of bad things. He is very much satisfied, that is why he wants to always live with the animals. These are the literary devices used here. Anaphora, where the use of repeated words at the beginning of two or more consecutive lines, like they do not. Then it is metaphor, where sweat and wine, it refers to the cries and complaints of human beings. So we should notice these literary devices. Where have they been used? Let us go ahead with the next paragraph. Not one kneels to another, no to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So here the poet says that he has never seen any animal showing any devotion or any superiority or inferiority, though this is the law of the jungle, survival of the fittest. But that is to maintain ecological balance, that is to maintain the food cycle. Otherwise, nobody on the earth would survive. But at least they do not judge anybody on the basis of their wealth or their status or their position. So that is why the poet praises animals, and he says that I want to go and live with animals because they enjoy equality. Nobody kneels to another and nobody bends to another one. Even though that this kind that they might have lived thousands of years ago means that they could be their ancestors who have lived a long time back in the past, in the ancient times, or they could be any of the saints. But animals do not bow to either any saint or to any ancestor. There is equality for which we human beings keep on craving throughout our life and we never get it. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. He says you will never find any animal who will be burdened with the sorrow of unhappiness or in this whole earth. Next lines read like this: so they show their relation to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. So poet says that unlike humans, animals don't complain of their misery. The poet appreciates the relationships of animals and believes that animals, when they show their relation to me, I accept that because that is based on equality. And they bring me tokens of myself. What does this bring me token of myself mean? Here, first thing first, in this token of myself, metaphorically, the poet uses this expression here, that tokens of myself means as if all these good qualities, they were earlier possessed by human beings, and now human beings may have lost all these good qualities somewhere, which are encompassed by the animals, and they show to the poet probably the tokens of myself. So this is a metaphorical expression here, which means that poet says the virtues of human beings like satisfaction, equality, calmness, innocence has long been left behind, has long been abandoned by human beings and acquired by animals. They evince them plainly in their possession. Human beings have given up these virtues, and animals have very beautifully preserved them. So he says that animals are far, far better than human beings. I wonder where they get those tokens. Now, tokens, as I just told you, one thing that tokens do imply the virtues, good qualities possessed by human beings earlier, but now they do not have them. And unlike human beings, the animals do not evince, do not hide anywhere all those good qualities. They keep showing them. Human beings, if some of us are good at all these qualities, still we would not like to show it with a fear that others may not understand it. But animals are actually never afraid of anyone. So that's why he says they never evince, they never hide. So he says, I wonder where they got those tokens. And another token, another meaning of token is the key which can open the gate of Eden garden. This is a biblical reference that we get from Bible. This token can be considered to be a key which could open the gates of the Garden of Eden, which is said to be the garden somewhere in heaven. This is the key of love and compassion. So God says that the only key to open the gates of Garden of Eden is having love and compassion. Those who do not have love and compassion for others, they can never make it to heaven. So that's why he says, did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently dropped them? So the Bible again says that this key was gifted by God to humans, but humans ignorantly lost that key and forgot the basic commandments of loving and being loved, and they run after madly all the materialistic comforts and pleasures. They've forgotten all the good and beautiful qualities which a human being should have. But here the poet wonders. He says that I stand for seeing in general whether in the good old days these qualities were possessed by human beings, and God had bestowed us with all these good qualities, and we have completely lost these good qualities somewhere with the passage of time. Now he says that I think these good qualities, they are only to be found among animals. And the poet says that I feel the animals have picked up these virtues which were dropped by human beings negligently, carelessly. And he says that animals have acquired all these admirable traits which human beings have abandoned unknowingly or knowingly, whatever the case is. So he says, I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? So at last he introspects, because we all should introspect where we are going wrong. And he says that from where the animals got those good qualities. He further questions himself that where his good qualities are gone. Did he leave them or carelessly lost them somewhere? The qualities that were found in human beings in the past, like innocence, kindness, truthfulness, are now seen in animals. So he wonders that human beings, they gave up these qualities and they have been passed on to the animals. So this is the gist of the poem, what the poet wants to convey to us, that love and compassion is the real token of peace and harmony that we need to learn from the selflessness of the animals. And this is the end of the